it's funny because Tranmere could win at Newport next week and they could end up on 51 points, which, as you say, could have them actually as high as probably 19th in the table because MK Dons would need a 9-goal swing, with Tranmere for Tranmere to finish above them. But there's every chance that they could finish on 51 points and 10 clear of the relegation zone. And people will therefore look at that table in years to come and not understand just how close Tranmere were to being in serious trouble. And they won't understand the nerves that Tranmere fans have felt all season. And granted, Tranmere haven't actually dropped into the bottom two at any point during the campaign, but they've been close, far too close for comfort. And that's why yesterday becomes such a special day, because that relief just washes over you. And I was confident all week that they'd get the job done, but then Saturday comes by and you start to think, well, what if this happens? What if they do lose and Carlisle do beat Cheltenham? And you go into Newport knowing that it's still possible, still in your hands, but it's still possible. And you've got to get a result at an away ground where traditionally you've done quite badly in recent years. So suddenly the closer to kickoff you get, the more nervous you get and the more you begin to fear what might happen. But then, as I say, as soon as Tom Davis put that ball in the back of the net, I never worried whatsoever. I never thought that Crewe were going to get back into it. And obviously, matters at Carlisle's game made things even sweeter because they were ahead and then threw that away, and they were never going to get back into it from 2-1 or 3-2 down. So that was a real joy to behold. And it was just relief for me. There's no celebration. I understand that a lot of people wildly celebrated, and quite rightly, what happened yesterday. But we, as a football club, should not be celebrating Tranmere narrowly avoiding relegation to the National League for the second time in a decade. That is not an acceptable position for Tranmere Rovers to be in. Tranmere have a very proud history of being in the Championship, of being in Division 1, as it was then, I guess, of being in League 1, as we've known it for many, many years. And this suddenly now has become a situation where for 2 years in a row, Tranmere have been flirting with going out of the league. And that's not acceptable. That's not right. And that comes down to structurally what is happening off the field. And big things need to happen this summer. Big things need to happen. My understanding is that there is going to be a huge look at the recruitment process, and rightly so, because just look at some of the players that Tranmere have ended up with over the last 3 or 4 years. But there's a lot more that needs to change as well. A lot more, because this club should not. And look, I know that teams historically, their position within the footballing pyramid changes. You only have to look at some of the sides that are above Tranmere that you would consider to be smaller teams. Barrow, Harrogate, and Fleetwood in this division alone, and others above in League One and higher. And you only have to look at some of the clubs below who have traditionally been Football League clubs, and they couldn't be further away from that at the moment. So, yes, I know that your position in the ladder changes, and no one has a divine right to be a League Two, League One, Championship, whatever club. But in my opinion, Tranmere are a bigger club than one that should be flirting with relegation to the National League. And therefore, big things have to happen this summer. A lot of people need to take a long, hard look at themselves and say, has what I've done been good enough, been acceptable? And I think for many of them, the answer will be no.
Yeah, spot on, Matt. I mean, yesterday's scene shouldn't really gloss over what has been a real. I mean, you look at Crewe. Last season they had a great season. They got to the playoff final. This season, for 3/4 of the season, they were in and around the playoffs, and they dropped off. Whereas we last season we finished 16th, and we all know that a lot of that was down to a certain Rob Apter. And that was a concern I had at the start of this season. We were losing Apter. Would we overall be better as a squad without him, but bringing in 2 or 3 players like we did, Davison and others? And the answer has clearly been no. We've not been. And I mean, recruitment, you live and die by your recruitment. At the end of the day, more often than not, the teams with the better players Not all the time, but the better players, will win more games. It's obvious to a degree, and recruitment is a massive thing, and it seems that every season now, and it's similar for other clubs at this level, there's a rebuild, because so often only 1-year deals are given out, and that's the nature of League Two, I guess, and the nature of clubs with finances like ours. We can't go out spilling 2 or 3 year deals to players, although maybe we can if there's a takeover. Who knows? So I think, there's we cannot afford, as I say, it's not just this season. Last season, 16th, and that was purely because of Rob Apter. It would have easily been worse if we'd never got him, or if he got injured, or they'd never extended the loan. And we've been on a downward spiral since then. And people will blame the owner, and he must take some responsibility. At the end of the day, he's the top of the tree. I don't blame him when people complain that he hasn't got enough money. I mean, that's not his fault, but some of the decisions that have obviously been made have not been right. The amount of managers he's had to change. Giving Adkins as long as he did was people talk about the Oldham game that he could have gone. Definitely for me, the Morecambe game on New Year's Day that we lost, I remember thinking that he will be gone now. Definitely, and he obviously got another maybe 10 games or something, and that's the reason why it's only the penultimate game of the season where we've been able to secure our league status.